Our special guest is Melissa Sibney. She wrote a book named The Wild River. It's about two female botanists who were down, 1938. Ooh, cut it. And we thought that she would be the perfect one. I mean, she's a Flagstaff, thing here. You can hear her on Canadian. But since she wrote about two women, and they were one of the first to go, except for Bessie Hyde, probably. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
And since the author of this play wanted it to be cast with all women, we figured this would be great. So, you want to start with your relationship with the Grand Canyon and Powell?
Sure, yeah. This is a little nerve-wracking for me. I'm a writer. I usually sit alone in my house writing away, being in front of these guys. So I'm really in awe of what all of these wonderful women were able to do today. It was a lot of fun. My first book, not this one, but my first book about the Colorado River, I did a lot of research on John Wesley Powell, and I really came into his story because of the work he did on water after this trip. Because he wrote a big report basically saying, radical idea that maybe there's not very much water out here in the West, and maybe it'd be a bad idea to put a bunch of cities and farms out here without doing a proper survey. Shocking, right? And of course, as you know, this did not go anywhere with Congress. Nobody was impressed by this story. And so that's really where I came to Powell's work. But the funny thing was, when I did all of that research, it never occurred to me to ask, where were the women? It's a very masculine story. And at the time, it just didn't really occur to me to ask that question. And it wasn't until I moved here to Flagstaff and I stumbled completely by chance across an archive at Northern Arizona University written by Lois Jotter, one of the women in this book, about her adventure down the Colorado River in 1938, that I really realized that women have also been doing these kinds of river trips from the beginning. There's indigenous stories of river running that the Navajo and the Hopi tell. Did you know that John Wesley Powell had a sister? Anyone ever hear of her? Her name was Ellen. And John Wesley Powell went down the river a second time because, as you saw, it was quite a disaster the first time. And so he had to go back to do really the survey work that he came to do. And so he came back the second time. He stopped at Lee's Ferry, and the crew all camped north of the canyon. And his wife and his sister and his new little baby, 3-month-old baby, joined them on that winter camp. And his sister made a botany collection while she was there. And then they're all ready to take off again from Lee's Ferry and go down through the Grand Canyon. And his sister gets into one of the boats and actually goes downriver with him a little ways, maybe 7 or 8 miles. And then they kick her out, because women are not supposed to be doing that kind of thing. So I discovered in the process of writing this book that really women have been part of the story all along, and yet we don't often tell their story. So I love the kind of gender bend that we saw here today. That's a fun way to raise that question of where are the women in these stories we hear that are often full of men. So that's me. I'll start there. I'll stop there.
That was great. And that was, I can't think of her Backhouse. Jacqueline Backhouse's name, that's who wrote the play. She wondered when she was growing up and being in shows, how come I can't ever play these explorer people, of old? And she's like, well, I can do that now. I can have women play these roles that weren't available to them, or these things that they couldn't do hundreds of years ago. Hundreds, we'll do that. So she wanted them to be able to experience that. So, yeah. So, who wants to go ahead, Bradley?
My real name's Clarence, but I'm an anthropology major, and that's one of the first things we talk about is we have to have women's side of the story, because that's half the story. So it's such an important part of history and learning about culture, and what actually happens is got to get sides from, yes, the men, but also the women, because they're there too, doing a lot of stuff that behind the curtain kind of thing. So yeah, I really enjoyed being in this play because of that. It made me feel like reclaiming something, even though, women didn't actually do this specific expedition with these people, but it's still nice.
I would say that we had a great sisterhood with me and the actors, and we had a couple men, our assistant director, Joe Washington, and Ivan, who's our great stage manager, and Alex, who was the banjo player, obviously. He added so much to his training, so we decided he could be on stage even though he was a man.
My turn?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. My name's Sunny. I work full-time as an ophthalmic technician during my day job. That's like eye doctor stuff. I do like pre-testing on the patients and whatnot. I was really interested in this role because originally I'm from North Carolina, and so I loved the outdoors as a kid and did a lot of like adventuring and exploring in the woods and stuff like that. And I do remember this one time that we found this like abandoned like little kiddie pool, and so me and my brother got into the kiddie pool and put it on the creek and went on a little expedition down the creek. I was like maybe 8 or 9 years old. But it wasn't until recently that I didn't know there really wasn't a role that ever showed anyone that was even remotely like me doing a very adventurous, very leadership, very kind of spunky type of role like that. And so I thought this would be a really great opportunity to be the representation that I didn't know I needed.
Next, Jackie.
Hi, I'm Jackie. I was not prepared. But
You don't have to say anything.
I
You
guess
don't
I-
have time for this.
Yeah, I don't have time for this, but I guess I always loved exploring and adventures, and I think it's important for everyone to get dirt underneath their fingernails, and I love wearing these baggy pants and pretending I'm a dude, you know?
She sure does.
Elizabeth?
Hi, I'm Elizabeth. Main reason I auditioned for this play, I've done male roles before in like high school where it's like there wasn't enough kids in general, so they just were like, okay, you play boy part. But I genuinely love this showing because it feels like, even though there is the play on it being women instead of men, it doesn't feel like we are men. We are just portraying the characters. And I feel like that's something that kind of happens a lot when you're given a women role. It's like being a woman is a part of the role. So you have to like play up your womanliness. Well, this one, it was just really like looking at the character and seeing like what they were as a person, especially because it was also a real historical event. That also had a big part of it. Yeah.
That's cool. Lisa?
Hi, I'm Lisa Coe, and I was just, excited to be a part of the show, and I'm on the Theatricals Board of Directors also, and so felt like it was something, that we could all do together, and like Elizabeth said, not as, being women in these roles is awesome, but as we started to work through the rehearsals and do character development, we were just people, on the river, and really like telling the story and the history. And I've lived in Arizona for over 30 years, and I know Lake Powell, but I never really knew like the backstory. And so it was really cool to learn history and acting, and the sisterhood of the traveling pants. Lost pants.
Yeah, lost
pants. I don't know, it just felt great, like we just, have all bonded. And, the first audition we had 3 people, and then 4, and so, I don't know, we have the cast we were supposed to have, so here we are. Thank you, Sarah.
Alex, want to add anything?
Yeah, sure. So, my name's Alex. I'm a local musician, teacher, performer, and I just want to say I've been having a blast, getting to know the cast and working on this production, and I'm really glad that you asked me to play banjo for this, and overlook the fact that I am a man.
Does anyone have any questions they want to ask anyone?
Has anyone been on the river?
I have.
But everyone in my family, I'm from Flag, everyone in my family's been on a river trip except for me, because I'm scared of water, ironically. So, yeah, it was kind of nice to do this play, because I kind of tasted it without the fear of dying.
Melissa, how many trips have you done?
I've just done the one for book research, and I have to say, like, the expression of terror on your, and especially Goodman, the expression of terror on your face. I felt that. That was me. I was really quite frightened to do it, but I had to for book research, and it's so worth it. So you should all get on the river.
Yeah.
So did you go down a waterfall?
Well, I mean, the rapids are kind of waterfalls, right? Yeah. You did. So if you haven't been on a river trip, how did you practice that part? The going down the water.
Physics.
Physics.
Oh, yeah. I taught everyone physics.
Okay.
You thought of Disneyland, you know, Splash Mountain.
There was 2 people who run rivers a lot who came in towards the end of our rehearsal schedule who gave us tips on navigating the river and things like that.
Oh, nice.
We watched a lot of videos.
Bruce and Lori Steinhaus were a big help in giving us some river, not etiquette, but, river legs, how to figure it out.
Right.
I love how she wrote, though, I've been on the river 2 times, and just the way that Powell talks, a lot of that was actual from his journal. And when he's talking about the walls and the waters, and it's just magical. So yeah, if you haven't gone down, you should go.
You gotta do it.
Have you done it?
Yeah.
Okay, you have it.
Anybody else?
Do you feel really small?
I have a comment and then a question. First, the comment, I'm quite amused by the fact that Sunny still has her arm tied up.
Yeah, right.
What are you going to do? It has to be pinned in place so that...
Oh, does it? That's great.
I mean, I can just run it. It's just, I'm sweaty in there, so I'm myself.
But here's the question on a much more serious note, right? Powell gets a lot of credit for this. He was not at all the first person to go down the Colorado River. Native Americans went down long before he did. How do we do a better job of acknowledging that?
Listen.
Wait, is that for me specifically?
No, for anyone,
Oh.
yeah.
Listen to people. They've got, just because they're different from us, for me anyway, I remember my first day of kindergarten, I came home and I said, Mom, why isn't my skin brown? And I was so, even to this day, I just so want to learn so much more about other people and other cultures, and it's important because if we don't, there's that history and that culture is just going to disappear. And to do more is just to listen and give people a voice who don't have it.
Well, we should recognize that they were first.
Yeah, that too.
And then go to them for knowledge and research and background as well, what they think.
And growing up in North Carolina, there was a lot of black people, but there was also a lot of Cherokee people and a lot of Lumbee people. And a lot of their history is just oral history, has just been passed down through generations. I know that there are starting to be more people that are trying to write things down to get it more spread out, and they're also kind of recording their stories and things like that. So just kind of amplifying the existing voices, because it's not like they're trying to hide it. There's definitely people wanting to share the stories when given the opportunity. So just give them the chance to do it, and they'll do it.
The Grand Canyon National Park just recently started playing a film in their visitor center that tells some of the story of the indigenous history, which is long overdue, by the way, and it's a beautifully crafted film. I was up there for the premiere of that film, and I was speaking to a woman from the Shibbutz band of Paiute, and one of the rowboats is there in the visitor center, one of the Powell Whitehall rowboats, and we're looking at it, and she says, my people have stories of meeting Powell. We pass down stories about John Wesley Powell showing up, and we tell those stories. And so sometimes you just need to turn that perspective around. Powell was discovering people, but those people were discovering him, and they still tell those stories. And so I absolutely agree. It's about listening to those other perspectives.
That's cool. Where is that showing?
It's at the South Rim Visitor Center. You can probably find it online as well, but next time you're up at the Grand Canyon,
Yeah.
check it out in the Visitor Center.
That's great.
A question for Elizabeth or whoever can answer, the Mr. Asa
Oh,
character, is that based on
I don't think so. I think that was more just like a resolution character. He's not really like an actual person that they met in any way, shape, or form. So
Just until he was kind of a douche.
yeah.
Didn't they steal his melons? I mean, I think they actually I think they robbed him actually in real
Oh,
life.
was he? Was he an
Oh,
actual
okay.
person?
I don't actually know, but I remember when they got out of the canyon, they like robbed a melon field.
Oh, that's probably where that came from.
Probably, yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's a nice rating.
That's funny. Yes, go ahead.
This is just a super fun, creative way to tell this story. I really enjoyed it. Did you get personally attached to your characters? Did any of you delve deeper into learning more about the history of your?
Yes.
I think they all went on these deep dives into their characters, and then they were like, we have to stop this.
Yeah, there's a lot of, this play has a lot of like inaccuracies compared to what actually happened. Like Old Shady was actually Powell's younger brother. He wasn't older, but it's like little things that is probably just easier for storytelling.
They
To,
just, yeah.
yeah.
Go ahead.
I know Bradley was not actually the youngest, it was Seneca. And Bradley was like 36, which is insane. So I had to stop looking it up because I was like, oh, I already started building it up around this character. It's very similar to me in real life, or like age-wise, and my mom's from Wisconsin, and so I love that. But I was like, what, he's just some like middle-aged dude in real life? No. So yeah, we had to like shut it down, like, okay, don't research in person. But I do know that Bradley, after the trip, he moved to California and he like had a fruit farm or something. And then he got sick towards the end of his life, and so he moved back to Wisconsin to be with his sister. And he like died just a few days after arriving, which is really sad. But yeah, it was weird. Like, oh, she changed a lot about these people.
Yeah, most of their endings are very sad.
Yeah. I did not look up anything. Every time I showed up to rehearsal, they would share like another fun fact, like, oh, that's so cool. And then I just wouldn't look anything else up. Because outside of, I've seen like pictures of Powell, of course, but outside of that, I just wanted to get into the mindset of I just want to be like a true honest explorer, a true like leader. And I felt like if I would read too much stuff about Powell, I would just really just try my hardest to be him. I'm like, to be authentically like Powell, I think is to kind of feel just the leadership and the dire need to do this expedition, this journey. So I just kind of focused on all of that.
I think acting is just being myself through the character's perspective.
Yes.
So,
Good, good.
Especially for you.
Yeah, I had to butcher British accent. For Frank Goodman, there wasn't much about him other than like him leaving 1 month into the 3-month-long expedition. I did find out that they stopped in Utah, and that's when he left. And so what ended up happening is he stayed with the Ute tribe a little bit during that time period, and then after that he like settled down with a Mormon settlement over there. But other than that, there isn't very much about him. So
He got married and had kids.
yeah,
This
yeah,
was Central Utah, right? I don't think he ever went back to North.
yeah.
Oh.
And done?
I was done.
Yeah, I couldn't find too much, because I think I was William Harrison Dunn, but there was a William Henry Dunn, the archives and the internet and everything, so, but it's interesting though, because like I said, I've lived here so long, once we started doing the show, I'd see like pictures of the Grand Canyon, like in my dentist's office, and like people running rapids. It was just everywhere, and I guess it has been, but I don't know. I mean, yeah, the Grand Canyon, but
But what happened to you?
what happened to me?
Character.
Yeah, well, I decided that my way was better than Powell's way, and we were just I wanted to be in charge of the expedition, and I felt like I had better ideas to plan an expedition, and so when we left, wait, where am I?
They left.
The
Ah, they left me. Okay, the Howland brothers and Dunn left the canyon. I don't know how you climb out. Like
Without
looking at
the
all those pictures,
Established trails, yeah.
just wow, climbing out, and then 3 days later, I think, was when they made it out.
Yeah, and I don't think they were never heard from again.
We were
No
we were
bodies,
killed
no-
or something. The three of us, yeah, like wow. Should have stayed, but too proud. And I was like, sorry, I got them with me. At least only 3 went, not like more.
Yeah.
But I don't know. But that can totally happen. We were just all tired of it. But yeah, I saw there was one picture of Dunn, like he scratched his name into a rock there somewhere. So I don't
Dunn's
know.
rock.
And my brother was sending me some,
Dunn, yeah,
or I think it was a Paul.
The rocker done.
right. I know.
Anybody else?
Oh, that's it, that doesn't, so things in the canyon, anything that actually was named for Dunn? From the expedition?
Oh, I think it's Dunn Mountain. I think that is
The
that
river.
Is there?
Yes, there is.
Okay. Because at the end when they say like a forest or a man-made lake, well, I know Lake Powell, but which forest do we know?
No, it's like
I think that was just
an
an
actual
example.
like cliff.
Yeah.
How point?
But we're done, so we can have
Well done.
yeah, done.
I'm done.